So we've done that. Now we can start to talk about, take the PFL off, and we can start to talk a little bit more about EQ. Because EQ is sort of the, it's the mysterious piece. You know, it's the thing that people have the most trouble understanding, grasping, and understanding what the best process is for EQing. So let's talk about that a little bit. We won't get real scientific on you. Just what I want you to do is I want you to hear the changes that get made, because it's your ears. Your ears are the most important thing you bring to the process. If you don't understand, if you have a musical sense, we'll say it that way. If you enjoy music, if you have an understanding of what music is supposed to sound like, it's going to help this process a lot. You know, and I think that's true of you. I think you sort of bring that to the table, and that will help you mix. So there's the technical side, and then there's the musical side. So and I think both are important. So what we're going to do is, let me just real quick, let's zoom in here and see. This is the EQ section. Again, it looks confusing. Everything does the first time you see it. So what we're doing, I want to explain that this whole EQ section between my fingers here all does the same type of work, but it does it in 4 different stages. So this is one section of EQ, this is one section of EQ, this is one section of EQ, and this is one section. And you can sort of see that by the way the lines are divided, by the way those categories are subdivided. There's a slight difference between this section of EQ and this section of EQ, and I'll explain what that is. This top guy and this bottom one are the 2 simplest forms of EQ. The frequency for that EQ is preset, and you have no control over it. All you have is the ability to turn that frequency range up or to turn it down. And let me just show you what I mean when I say that. So if I'm talking here, and I'm going to take this, it's labeled HF, so high frequency. If I'm going to take that high frequency and I'm going to turn it up, I'm going to be adding high frequency to the sound that we're hearing. So it's going to start to get sibilant. It's going to start to hear S's and T's and things like that a lot more sharply, a lot more clearly than if we turn this down in the opposite direction where it starts to sound muddy. Now, that doesn't mean that you want to take every sound that you start to shape and turn this up. It just means that if you have a sound that's overly dark, you could bump this EQ up a little bit, and it'll add a little bit of clarity. So let's go into the second section here and see that in this section there's 2 knobs. Now the black knob in all 4 of these bands does the same thing, and that is to say that it boosts, increases, or cuts, decreases whatever frequency range you're talking about. So you heard when we increased or decreased, you hear the changes being made. Here we get a little bit more control. It's true to say that this does the same thing, in that if you boost here using the black knob in this band, check, it's going to increase whatever frequency this secondary knob is set at, or will decrease whatever frequency range this knob is set at. The cool thing here is that this secondary knob gives you a lot more control. Now, I don't know how much you've done with this before, but what we're basically saying is, within this one section, you have a volume control, a boost or cut for whatever frequency range this is set at, and you have the ability to determine a specific frequency to boost or cut with this knob. So I'll show you what I mean. If I turn this up, right now you kind of hear that it's a little bit more present now sounding, but if I start to then turn this knob, check, you can hear that it's kind of sweeping, check, across a whole range of frequencies, of higher mid-range frequencies. So what I would typically do as a matter of process in EQing a sound is, what I want to try to do is I want to just slightly boost up or add in that range, whatever frequency range it's at, and I want to sweep across until I hear something in the sound that sounds like it probably doesn't belong. So I'm at the very top range of the frequency, I'm sweeping down, check. To me, right there, that sounds like it makes it a little bit kind of like a honk sound. And so I want to get rid of that, so now I'm going to leave this where it was. So that's selecting the frequency, I've preset that, and now I'm going to start to back that frequency range down by decreasing its volume, check, and that sort of cleans that sound up. So with that set there, listen to the increase. This is the range we don't want. Okay, so now I'm going to back it down, and it gives a little bit of that, it reduces that honky, that honky frequency range from the sound. So now you've shaped that. Okay, so let's leave that where it is and go down and hear the lower mid equivalent of that. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the black volume knob, and I'm going to increase it some, and then I'm going to sweep around on this other knob, which is the frequency knob. Check, 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 check. And to me, check right there, that would probably be a frequency that I could do without. So I'm going to leave that where it is, and back this volume. I'm going to back the volume that controls that frequency. I'm going to back it down a little bit below the 0 mark. Check, check, check. So now, instead of hearing this in the sound, I'm taking that quality of the sound away. Check, 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 which to me, to my ear, clears it up a little bit. Then we finish up by looking down at the low frequency range. And this is, again, like the high, is a preset frequency. It's a preset low frequency. So if I boost this sound, check, 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 I'm pretty sure that you can hear that. It's coming through in a very low range. If I cut it out, then all of the low end goes away, and I'm left with just mid-range and highs, which isn't right either. So back to 0, and I'm gonna say that I could stand to take some of the low end out of that sound. Check, check, not all of it. That sound like that. I'm gonna find a good balancing point. What sounds good to me, and that's what we have. Now that we've done that, I'm just raising this volume up a little bit more. Since we've cut some of these frequency ranges out, it's left us with a lower volume. Okay. What I want to do now is I'm going to talk, and I'm going to take, there's a button here, this EQ button determines whether the EQ section is active or not. Now, even if I've made all these changes, if this button gets raised into an upright position, all of this goes away. Now, the knobs will stay in the same place, but it's not going to have any effect. So I'm going to take it out, and here's what will sound like. Check, 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 check. That's not EQ'd. Check, 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 check. That is EQ'd. So you can go back and forth, check 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, check, 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 check. And you can hear the difference between an un-EQ'd sound and an EQ'd sound, which is more in control, less woofy, less honky sounding, and it's to my ear, a fairly well-balanced sound. Now, the better you get at doing those things, at EQing, the more that you will instantly get better at eliminating feedback in the room and other problems that you could have, like overdrive in the room. You know, learning to balance. The better it's EQ'd, the easier it is to balance one sound against another. So if you have a lot of things going on, if you got drums, a couple channels of drums, you got bass, guitars, and keyboards, and a lot to work with, it's much more important then that each one of those sounds has been shaped and EQ'd individually to sound their best on their own, so then when you bring them into a mix together, you know, they sound, so then you're not trying to, okay, well, I can't hear the bass, so I'm gonna turn the bass up. Well, now I can't hear the guitar, so I'm gonna turn the guitar up. If you shape each sound individually and you get that sounding good to you individually, then it's much more likely that it's gonna sound good when you get it into a blended mix of all of those elements. Okay. You know, it just makes the outcome a lot better.